from the laptop.
Oh, right.
So maybe you could put the,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, if I hear a echo, I'll put this in.
Yeah, or mute the laptop.
Oh, yeah. It's on the screen for you guys, so you can join us. It's not this. Just a second. It is this. There you
Sanje chedan sori chonula chanchu bari dani kyazu dhati shishi kibe sonuji drola peche sanje drupara shu Sanje chedan sori chonula chanchu bari dani kyazu dhati shishi kibe sonuji drola peche sanje drupara shu Sanje chedan sanje chanula chanchu bari dani kyasu dhagi chishi kibe sonu drola peche sanje dhubara shu gane la jingunji tsugane raga shuzi bonji chuzi chuji jebo kunje la sanchi sanan cheba nende shizu Dengi nangar sanje pene jizan lama jiben zongar si dalu tebe sonu shinju temba jishi keje shusu shishin jongon jawe lo juzi kesan nawe jenju leshi su tabe peje lamin sebe tonde tembe tonde lasan Ihon jaya nazo medo da tijil tebe nasa tijil unzo ibe chore jamzu sonu shinju jala choba dagi tome dina sawa ibe nga isu meki chiji kebar tomba sunji menden Yini joba chabe soso shin hingi tundu mante chula chuje kwami tanju de gombo chuje labzin zamba la daza samba tabe yerang chison lama tamba chenam chugu galan chenze chenzen chidan zambe dushin zama sargi chuje chaba abdu sor kangi tuzi nizon tawa tanju kwami tambi chun tenze kodam kela chanze lo
So I apologize for everyone. Geshe actually in the previous week thought that it'd be nice to start every week with a recitation of the foundation of all good qualities. So it completely slipped my mind. I'll try to remember it for next week and also to prepare it on the screen for everyone. So today Geshe recited it in Tibetan, so at least his bases are covered.
Good morning, everybody. Ani that taring anzo lamram ki nimani batti. Inza tsavi ta kazi chi shu tsare sro. Anzo lamram dus nishin chi gudi nimbu ro di ani chi partu gu go di ani sunja tamji gi tunde lame zoshin ko mo to yak che. Yimbata mansame semla ya yori la yoko goros. Ani partu dire tan neka ki kubadi chi any rangyugi nimu tuksum share chit ra any chi lamrun khanda jineya lamrun chindi chosum khanda jineya sanji sorum khanda jineya and nandi nimbu di any nimu bi nimbu gomsu chilaya any dodin song yabati sam chik juri kinza nganzu lamrun nimbu tiya neka guba nego gubati rangyugi nimu toya chebi bata tardu gubati sunja tamji chebi lame zoje kobo tu chebi badi an nganzu semle shacheni an lamram nyengu basra.
So we continue today with the teachings on the steps of the path to enlightenment, the Lamrim teachings, and this is the second or third session that we're teaching. So To begin with, it's important to correct our motivation. So whenever we study or whenever we teach the Dharma, it's important to correct our motivation. So that motivation should be finally to attain the state of highest enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. That should be our motivation in the final sense. But also we can think that through teaching or listening to the teachings, then temporarily we want to pacify the three poisons in our own mind stream. So Lama Tsongkhapa composed the three extents of the sets of the path to enlightenment. He composed the extensive presentation, the middling presentation, the bridge presentation on the steps of the path to enlightenment. So those teachings act as antidotes to our own afflictive states of mind. All the Buddha's teachings act as antidotes for our own afflictive states of mind, so that our temporary goal or purpose would be to pacify the three poisons: attachment, anger, and ignorance in our own mind stream. And the ultimate goal, the final goal, is to attain on that basis the state of highest enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings.
시디 토리아 로투야지가 용야 메기로즈 레도스라 니무 뚝섬 싱디기 아니 람름 딘디나라 요르타니 제스 니무 뚝섬 싱이들이야 가리오스 닌지 짜오니 메주치 그럼 메다마스는 닌지 짜오니 다 메당이즈 레도스 니무 뚝섬기 먼저도 추치 제제 체세야디 짜오니다 메시고 레도스 니무 뚝섬기 제제 메지고 마세 갓 이느야 내게 기대지. 로 수수 줄이야. 수수 줄이야. 지 차방기 로 숙청을 내서 제라 디 상황도 교진. 아니 지 순례질이야. 아니 장구리 아니 잠제리 아니 dit다 투야지 편도체 투야지 짜오니 문도 왔어. 님문비 상황도 교창인기 변다지 아니 나당한테 미티기 아니 미션이야. 짜오니 지 아니 장부를 소통문도 왔어. 어떻게 아니 니무 도성다 딜레장다 데메바 세부 쇼지레스. 데데 니무 도성 아니 도야랑 기체도 아니 람람도 친이 제고 성성기 아니 상로 숙침부 지어봐나 덴데 강 아니 녀설체 디기 아니 란규기 니무 고야라 야세 야탐도 펜도 용구였어. 용구였어.
So the reason that we want to correct the motivation in this way is that so long as our mind is under the influence of such afflictive states of mind for that long, we will not able to pacify our own afflictive states of mind, and there would be no way that we would be able to attain the state of enlightenment, the state of omniscience. Also, temporarily, we will not be able to attain peace and happiness. It will not come to pass. So long as these three afflictive states of mind are present in our own mind stream, for that long, they will have no compassion for us, no compassion whatsoever. Those afflictive states of mind do not care for us. They always create problems and harm for us. And we can see that when our mind is governed by strong anger, by strong attachment, our mind is bereft of honesty or a sense of loving concern. So those afflictive states of mind, anger, attachment, and so forth, they are not honest. They do not care for us. Also, they do not benefit us. So we can see, and Geshe said that also with respect to himself, we can see how when the mind is under the control of such afflictive states of mind, we cannot really be honest. This is clear when we see that. So we want to overcome them. We want to overcome them through our study and through teaching the Lamrim, through studying the Lamrim. Our purpose is to overcome our own afflictive states of mind.
참지기 랑신지리스 아니 겨울은 주스비다 아니 라문한데다 뒤따도 송대야지 공무에 제거라서 뒤지 코멜로면 많이 봐 아니 야갈 키비기 뺀도 쇼래 또 대한지 단지 좀 된데기다 지 동하고 쇼기들이야 또 아니 시원디기 자비기 미랑신디 참지기 랑신지 바디 비시고요레스 참지기 랑신이 받자마세 피기기 따지 아니 잔데 내루 또 통인게 네바이비 랑신지 바디 비시고레스 이내양 아주 갑도래야지 아니 가서 따지 요다용데디 아니 미 랑신 톤의 마인바 이 유기 뉴문비 뉴문 도성 겨인 바지 아니 소르투바이나 로 뒤따도 소르투바이나 아니 안저지 가서 따지 둔디 여비기 아니 미티 체소 삼비기 아니 롱한데다 지 저보고 마투야기 아니 네소도서 총을 조기 여사레스 따디 여사레스로 여레스
In fact, nature as human being is the nature of loving kindness. His Holiness emphasizes that. He speaks often about our nature as human being. Our nature is of loving concern for others. And this is also what the Indian Pandits, the Indian scholars have said, as well as teachings on Sutra and Tantra. So we not only have that nature of loving concern to others, we also have a nature that makes it possible for us to develop a better understanding of reality, to come to realize reality. And yet, we can also recognize how anger, attachment, and so forth give us problems. We can sense that, we can develop that heartfelt sensation of how anger, attachment, and so forth create problems for us. So when we come to recognize that, when we come to sense how anger, attachment, and so forth always create problems for us, then when we encounter a certain person and anger arises, so we lack the ability to bear patience, to bear with that person, to be patient with that person, the sensing of those problems with our afflictive states of mind will start to bring the power of afflictive states of mind down. In that sense, it will decrease the power of our own afflictions.
아니 지 람름도 스마 지 롱인 지 롱 대시 게임 지 용인 지 유 갑들이야 지 소수랑이야 지마당 바도치 난게도 삼성 소수랑이야 라고도 삼성이 소질레 두고요나 때 미티기 람름 고고요레스 로 먼저지 람름나 강송바디 지 셴바치레 셰디 교로지 기 소모도 메나 아니 람름디 따다진다 아니 년투메 비타르스 데자 딘디칼이야 사즈치 녀바이나 강송바디 아니 소소라니레베 아니 믹스칸 소소라니레야 랍디 유 소아질레 토바이나 딘다 람름 녀비 고든디 야구 차고 와레스라.
And this is the foundation for the type of activities that we engage with here. So for example, we'll listen to teachings on the Lamrim here. So we should think that those teachings are giving me direct benefit. If I understand the Lamrim in terms of we participate here in this activity from different perspectives. Geshe is teaching the Lamrim, I'm translating for those teachings, you guys listen to those teachings. So all of us need to think that those teachings are given to me. Those teachings that Lama Tsongkhapa gave were given to me. It is not for someone else. It's not that we study those teachings thinking that this is something that another person will do. We need to think that those teachings are given directly to me. Otherwise, if we think that those teachings are for someone else, it's not for me, then we're not engaging correctly with the teaching on the steps of the path. So we really need to be careful to begin with the attitude that we engender at the beginning of studying the teachings on the steps of the path to enlightenment, right? The type of attitude that we should have from the very get-go is that those teachings were given personally to me.
Startini dangan khazing shunzam diresra shunzam kiran sajid yoro chanjolam jirim bitule shi chukun zum batme shin sebo chiwatem dangon ko boki shi chiwatem chiwani dem chule dambangu yilo ma chita tribe base tsavi sajid ti tambo ani ring posum so kiwa shi tende la yonde ni chunin tembala chawa tsuni dan ni badirwa tende la yonde ni bi sulte ani mandu teba longi yonde ni bi sultan ani tobi yonde ni bi sulni nani da longi yonde ni bi sul di kartu da sajid di chawores ra.
So we began the text that teaches the steps of the path to enlightenment. So I'm going to put the text on the screen. I think that for those of us, we have a few people here at the Gompa. So for those of you at home, just to let you know, so we have Tony and Churki and Palyun and some other monastics here with us, as well as about 3 or 4 lay people. So you are not alone. So I will put the text on the screen. Where is it? It is here. So, first of all, Geshe looked briefly at the outline of the text. So, the whole body of the text begins with this 4-point outline that is found at the top of page 2. So, the whole of the backbone of the Lamrim begins with, first of all, showing the greatness of the author in order to show that his Dhamma is a pure source. The second point that we've covered was showing the greatness of his Dhamma in order to generate respect for the instructions. The third is how the Dhamma possessing those 2 greatnesses should be listened to and explained. And the fourth is the stages by which a student should be guided through the actual instructions. So this is the backbone of the text. Now we started to look at the first point that proves the greatness of, that shows or proves the greatness of the author in order to show that this Dhamma has an authentic source, a pure source. So in terms of showing the greatness of the author, we start to look at the root and actual author, Atisha's text, and then we start to look at Atisha's greatness. So when we look at Atisha's greatness, we've covered the first point that explains how Atisha took birth in an excellent family. Then we have been looking at a section of how Atisha obtained his excellent qualities on that basis. And I think that we're still yet to look at the third point, which is having obtained them, how Atisha performed deeds for the sake of the teachings. So let's look at the second point in that outline, explaining how Atisha has obtained the excellent qualities on that basis. So moving on to page 3, I think. Yeah, page 3. So we have 2 points in that section, how Atisha obtained the excellent qualities of vast scriptural knowledge, and how Atisha obtained excellent realizational qualities of its correct accomplishments, which means that altogether we're looking at 2 sets of qualities that Atisha obtained. Qualities of scriptures, that's the first one, and then qualities of realization. So we looked at how Atisha obtained the excellent qualities of the vast scriptural knowledge, and I think that in previous session, we started to look at the second point, which is how Atisha obtained the excellent realizational qualities of the correct accomplishments, the correct practice.
The Kabdu di Diresha, Tsultrim on the Chibi, Toby on the Temple, Gosos, Tomar, Telasumle, Soso Tavi Tomba, Chokan Demi Sulness, Soso Tavi Tomba Chok, Galon Pamal Soba. So Nick Galhong Domba Nene, not Silla Chaki, Yaki, Naman Yama, Shila Tobana, Mombe Sultan Travel, Tonya, Sultan Duty, Naman Mushaba Somba, that Killambil, Habishi Tachi, Habishi Tamu, Sultan Duty. So
we continue with the reading of the text. going to put the text again on the screen. So we've looked at this section that explains how Atisha obtained qualities of scriptures, and now we're going to look at how Atisha obtained the excellent realization and qualities of its correct accomplishment. Now, in looking at how all the excellent realizational qualities are contained in the 3 trainings, it says, since generally speaking, all the scriptural teachings by the victor are contained in the 3 precious baskets, the realizational teachings are also contained in the 3 precious trainings. So we spoke about it in the previous session. Now, today Geshe began with how Atisha was accomplished in the 3 trainings, beginning with the training in ethical discipline. So looking at transition to ethics, it says, that's in page number 4. It says, in this regard, the training of ethics is often praised in the scriptures and in the commentaries as the foundation of all excellent qualities, such as the trainings in concentration and wisdom. Therefore, it is necessary, first of all, to have excellent realizational qualities in terms of ethics. So that's the transition to ethics. Now, explaining how Atisha was actually accomplished in ethics, the first point explains how Atisha possessed the highest vows of individual liberation, or pratimoksha. Geshe read through that section, and it says, in this regard, there are 3 kinds. How we possess the first of those, the highest vows of individual liberation. Having received the vows of a fully ordained monk, a gelong, he gathered them the way a yak guards its tail. A yak is also attached to its tail, that is, that it will rather risk its life trying to save a strand of a tail hair that has got caught on a tree, than to part with it, even if it sees its life is being threatened by a hunter. That is how Atisha guarded every detail of the foundation of trainings, not to speak of the major rules of the foundation of training he has undertaken, so that he came to be called the elder, who is a great upholder of monastic discipline.
다들 자기 빼든도 저당기 되는 뭐 세우 얘기다 인지 돈 마이네야 빼지 나즈가 차비 야 키슬라운디 아니 야 참고도 딘디 요마로 왔다 이네 딘디 요사로 왔어 안지 쇼지 그게 샘차운디 아니 소소 소로 투나야 로 아니 송대 딘디 딘자 아니 지 작성 그 돈이 뺀 소로 투네 아니 송투에 딘디요는 남수기 오니기 비길이야 개침부 짜침부 라 연된 탐지기 심은 따위기 아니 넘버디 아니 개침부 통나 아니 송투야지 다 용거 왔어 딘자 간지 아니 조지반데 아디샤 아니 내된 도원 좀 전부 딘디 교야디 라เป็น다다 임바이네야 로통다 로세비질 다다 임바이네야 참만도 아니 조지바데 아디샤 슬라운디기 이랑 마셔니지 다 간지 공기 남들지 데스식 신인지기 미징문에 아니 이랑 마셔니지 메바디 엔 칼친 제버레스 가을 때는 총바레스 기메케메 그레스 잡니 마레스 라비시 참무순제네 베미기 디비전도 송치네 아니 냠냠 탈치만 나와인자 인 딘디기 인 참미기 차치사고 다 율도 줄바레스 라
So this section used the analogy of how a yak would guard its tail, even a strand of hair from its tail. A yak would guard it even at the risks of their own life. So it uses a certain analogy, and Geshe said that obviously this analogy is taken from Tibetan culture or Tibetan setup. He doesn't know if we have a way of completely relating to that analogy. But anyway, the point in that analogy, and also Geshe was wondering if all yaks would necessarily behave in a certain way. Probably not. But still, the point that you get from this analogy is that if, when we look at how we behave under the control of attachment, sometimes we are willing to risk our own life in order to guard something that we have with a sense of attachment. So even more so when we think of the foundation of all good qualities, which is ethical discipline. So if the foundation of all good qualities that we will develop in the future is ethical discipline, then this is so important for us to God. And this is how Atisha did it. So Atisha is regarded as the upholder of the basket of the Vinaya teachings. So when you read through the life story of Atisha, you find his life story to be so inspiring. So why is it so inspiring? Is it that we find this story to be so inspiring for no reason, for no causes, for no conditions? We find his life story to be so inspiring for those of us who are familiar with that, because it illustrates how someone was a genuine practitioner. He took those training to heart and it brought them into a state of perfection. So this is why we find Atisha to be so inspiring.
어디래 딘자 아니 조제 반대 아디샤기 다 라바 추중 길라비기 다 연된티 고바티 아니 다 치무 지진지 스투연자 안 짜치무 쇼지 다 진투고레스 라 땅안주기 디모투야 카레스 나주 다 돈발랭기요레 랍 중구요레 게츠웅 돈발랭기요레 이내야 아니 디모투야 카레스 라바나 디안주기 비기 개침부든지 임바디 우연내서 그런 개침부든지 임바디 먼저 또 투면서 surtumenza anganzugi loyanshirgoras ra ben kaptu ya sozuleji pendo yogyuji tombaina en dichedo karchego chona jigoras anganzura ine dindiji 통투면za anganzugi dombatita yabuji 송투고 말아봤어 dinza 아니 따지 dom비기 랍샤토소 젠섬토소 비길이야 아니 가서다 장치 아니 네바니 바이나 아니 dombayabu스 젠투야지 라 엔지 간지 사바숨기 시덴 심었다비고 아니 수름디 아니 술레야리나 베테 아니 남라요 소르지 라 랑세비 jelaya 제제체이나 오늘 단위다 미기 데비션 제제체 토야기 디주 용거라스 당은 좀 맞투면 간주 맞투야 디주 면데 만통인자 디디 다 교쇼거라스
I got you an apple pie.
So Tisha took up the training in ethical discipline and has practiced it in an excellent way. So this is the reason why we regard Atisha to be so important, so precious to us. But what about ourselves? Well, we take vows. We take vows, and we might take ordination. We might take ordination as fully ordained monks or fully ordained nuns. So, fully ordained monks or nuns or novice monks and nuns. So we take vows, and yet we often don't take a vow as seriously, or we do not appreciate that to be as important as the way that Atisha did it. And we don't appreciate the guarding of the vow to be as important as Atisha appreciated it, because we don't realize the benefits. We don't see the great benefits of doing that. So once we take a vow, we want to do our best in guarding the vow. But often we don't really see the benefits of doing that. So in order then to see the benefits in doing that, we study the vows that we take. We look at the limits or the borders between what we can do and what we are not allowed to do. And then through studying that, through becoming more informed, through studying that, through becoming more informed, we then develop that basis of all good qualities, in that we become we become capable of guarding the vows that we have. So we really need to tread carefully in the way that we approach a vow. Currently, we still accrue faults in the vows that we have because we don't see the benefit clearly in guarding the vows. We don't see clearly how this is the very basis for all the good qualities that will arise later on.
Terdiza and the Jinju Penanta, Jangolam Tunga Jimana, at the any Jensam Tam Sunjini, any Dewey Tachi, Chepape Mamboras, Gamong Chepape Mambota, Chig any and Tana Senamendo, P that Chusak Sangeres, Chusak Sunjini Petty, and it's Shendu, and Shechin Pevores, Tintila Tenita, and Jangolam Tunga Seg. And it gave Kurbaras, right? Chavaras. Yaw Chavaras. Tuja Chayamaras.
So the great master Lama Tsongkhapa also became learned in even the minute details, the small details in the way to guard one's ordination vow. For example, when you become a fully ordained monk, as Lama Tsongkhapa, then you have so many things that are prescribed in the vow that you have. So you have the major details, but you also have so many minute details in the vow that you have, even as far as how you should handle the water, how do you call it? Strainer. Yeah, the water strainer. The water strainer that a fully ordained monk should use. So even as far as looking at minute details with respect to that, Lama Tsongkhapa became expert or very highly knowledgeable of even those minute details. And needless to say that Lama Tsongkhapa have excelled in whatever he did.
Any Taman Jamba Chicados, Ra, any Penatach Gelongi Chusa Sheadi, any Susu Ched Remember, that not the children longe go, Chutongo, Chuko, in the children lady sorts of Tamotsujin, they are Susu Kanchevadi, Manevas Chego does, Ra. Tenza and Chu Nangolaya, Chut Donje, Chunango, Soja Sunjelaya, Sonjo Chedu, and Chusa Shechin, those people does.
So it's good to know that when you understand points like that, then you can generate faith in beings such as Lama Tsongkhapa. So in one's vow of full ordination, one of the things that you need to do or to observe is how you use a certain article of a fully ordained monastic that is called the water strainer. So as human beings, we need to drink, we use water. No, it's not that we can abstain from using water. So we use water. And one of the things that fully ordained monks need to use are water strainers so that you will not harm living beings that live in the water that you use. So if you use water for drinking, for cooking, or what have you, then in order to guard the life, in order to protect the life of minute or small living beings that might be living in that water, it was said that fully ordained monks need to use a water strainer to make sure that they do not harm the lives of others.
And Eugene Zawini pig maybe Pigiomaris and the Chaki, and it don't need to Simchin, and Pigwaris, Cousin Dusu you won't dig, and not the cheek, not something like this, and social lava you they get the tip of the two and shoot that with us. The Nanshin Gitchik was since and the soldier in the Davina, Consolaya, and it's our chadruanza, Dutsin Jenny, pay any Carsotachi, any Timbalaya Shachin, or those pay with us. Dinza, Suduna, Tabaji Sonding Jimbaina, and it's Shan Jevans in the changing song. The Sutachi in Kia Shiding Momadi, or do song Tamina, Chagores, Dinza, and the kitchen. And the Chicheva Tum Sunjeni, and it did that Godesh Mundu, and it Keva Shumunduroj, and the Sambaina, and so soon Monton or Remado, Godem never that, Keva did it sound in Mares, can't to took any and Tsultrim la ya song and song chebaina and teletembigi and yonde and jema temi and kiala lelha dro yolati pesivureshas.
So this is one example of one minute detail in one's training as a fully ordained monk. But there are some other things in that training, like for example, it is set up when you go from one place to the next, then you should also restrain your waving of the hands, for example, right? So sometimes we walk from one place to another and our hand tends to kind of wave along the road. So it was said that also the hand should be holding to your robes so that you might not hit your arm around against the wall or something else and thereby squash an insect. So such rule was also conceived in order to protect the lives of others. So when you become informed those minute details, and you also become mindful of what you need to do in understanding all those details, you become mindful of the lives of other living beings. And that acts as the very basis for developing an attitude of cherishing others. So if we think that actually there's not much difference in my behavior, even if I'm not going to get all those minute details, that it's not a big deal. They're not that important. It's not going to make a great difference. Well, we might be thinking that it's not going to make it's not a big deal. It's not going to be a big difference, but this is due to a lack of our understanding. It's not that there's no purpose in adopting such a behavior. It is important even in guarding the minute details, because in so doing, we gather ethical discipline, which constitutes the very foundation of the good qualities that we seek to develop.
Back to the water.
Yeah.
Stream.
Back to the water, back to the swimming pool.
So,
all right.
Yeah, that's fine. So we also have the lid for the cup to protect also insects falling in. And yet, like when we do water bowls, and still no protection and insects go inside. So that is therefore accruing fault. All right, so
I'm going to repeat the question for the people at home. So Venerable Chuki is asking about the water restrainer. So we also have cups, for example, and we have lids for those cups. So in some sense, we can say that we protect insects from falling into the cups that we have, but we also make water bowl offerings on the altar, and we don't cover those bowls, and sometimes inevitably insects fall into them. So do we accrue a fault on that account? 맞아, 찬서 추통도 딜라든데 갑주치 샤도아 가주샤와이나 딜라 보신 보얀 리기 말해. 이나 가서 연차 양 표게로와. 연차 표와이나 연차 강라든데 갑주 샤게 말와. 다서 찬서 연차 표두 디나라 보스 샤게로와. 최선디 갑주 마샤와이나 다 추 연차든데 샤와이나 Dila Bushiwa in Anso Dilatin Niabachik Sagerbes.
Di Yosamar, Dinites and Dragosamares. And Chidangi Sochak Ranjana, Chu Nonaya, Negon Sochak Richigoras. Ah, and Di Rig Chu non Nevinza, and not the Chula Lonche on the Tell Navy, Koranshin Tell Navy, Sochalaya, and Negomachiak. Shedu. 아니 추자도 시고레스 단다 먼저 연체 편이 연체 피처를 제라야 소자딘디 용되는 시드레디 디 페시 델레 네삼는 네바요 말레스 가서 먼저 연체 표야디 소자 디나노 아니 용향치를 피고 말았어 먼저 연체 삼아지 표야디 군조라야 아니 처부 피고라스 디 아니 처부 피사기 나노야 즉 심진시 먼저 만통이 일단 버센딘디 용 아니 시바이나 디 가르쳐디 디 드문이 비체바 소리지라스 드문이 비체바 소리지 Dini Jasamaris.
Geshe reckons that it is not the same. I think that it's probably not the same in the sense that when you look at what is prescribed in the monastic rules for using a water strainer, if you have living beings that naturally live in a certain body of water, then you don't want to harm the lives of those that live in that water. For that reason, use a water strainer. Now, when you make offerings, you make offering of water, and you don't make offerings in thinking that I want to trick those insects that might fall into my water bowl offering and die. No, so that's to begin with, not your initial motivation. You're making offerings to the jewels, to the 3 jewels. So you're making offerings to the 3 jewels, and also it's not water that naturally living beings would live there. And as it happens, sometimes insects or the like fall into those those offering bowls and die. So while this is unfortunate, Geshe reckons that it's still different to protecting the lives of others that would naturally live in a body of water. So Geshe said that this is his personal opinion. In that scenario, you will not accrue a fault.
So your intention in either case is not, to attract living beings to drown.
So
But because if you do the water bowls often enough, say here, the frequency of that occurring. So it's also, that would not be skillful, one could say, because that a percentage.
So you're saying that in terms of your intention, kind of you don't have the intention to make insects drown in your, in your water bowl offering, but still, based upon your experience, that a certain percentage will still drown in those water bowl offering, but you still do that. So, 그런 딜라 연차 퓨드 디 딜라 시기레 삼네 디체도 퓨기 말해서 덴바레서 이네 냠뇽 나서 냠든 덴데 시샤와 이나와 냠마 냠뇽 연차만 퓨 차참 어디라 담인다 딜라 출라사기레 시기레 하쿠로 하쿠 신두 다음 표현이나 딜라 냠바 사기만 하코기 고기
디 마이마야기 탑시 강여버디 제도는 약수로 왔어. 그러나 갑자기 잡이 사서는 아니 지 표현 넘버도 왔어. 디 까보기 고전도 라도 왔어. 다치 부용구여 하고 고기요나 디지 마이마야기 마이콜야기 탑시 카드 어디 제고도 왔어. 배능한주 연초 표현이 아니 연초 마샴사디 아니 띵디 카본드 샤고레스. 띵 동부도 샤샤나 되니 다 가셔 요리세 되죠라 벤티소르즈레스.
Well, you can make water bowls offerings and try to find ways to prevent insects from coming around or from falling into your water bowl offerings. If there's a way that you can prevent that, if there's a way that you can reduce that, then of course you need to do that. But still, when you make water bowl offering, Geshe reckons that if you were to cover the water bowl offering that you make, then it wouldn't have the aspect of making offerings. It doesn't look right. So if you can make sure as much as you can that you prevent the insects from coming around, then you should do that. Also, when you look at the procedure for making water bowls offering, it is said that once you empty your water bowls, rather than leaving them empty and putting them like that, then you should put them upside down. So there are certain rules that, certain procedures for arranging water bowl offerings and then emptying them.
Yeah, benangan chilo dos drongi, bena pang kilaya drongi. 빵기낭 네비 더 소자 마부질이야 네긴 지가 어딘가 다 신고라스 하고라스 이니야 디 that didn't know the slabs and sound in Mondo Dedena. And could the only make it was. Things that the so chick sonja which said the any countilaya and chick ngan jensen, ngajala sober, that the G and the Zolia Manuel any Mondo Tami in Bajilia and Droicalia to Zola Manuel Tashi Shamba Carriona, Chegoet, or didn't of red was right.
So come the tilang. Yeah. And similarly, we can think of other scenarios, like, for example, you might go out and sit outside somewhere on a piece of grass or on a plane. So we know that there are insects there. We know that it is likely that when we sit down somewhere, it is likely that we're going to harm other living beings. So if you try to abstain from all possible activities such as that, at the end of the day, you will not be able to move anywhere. So we need also to take into consideration that we try our best, but it's not that we can totally abstain from such actions. So you do your best, and also there are certain things that you can do. Like, for example, when you go out somewhere, you can recite some mantras. You can blow some mantras on the soles of your feet, and you can also think that I will do my best, to guard and protect the lives of living beings. Even when I sit down somewhere, I will do my best in order to guard and protect the life of living beings living in that area. So you try your best to guard and protect the life of others as much as you can.
Could I just continue on in this vein? Because Geshe brought up in a recent teaching about our ants. We have many ants and we have many insects here in this beautiful place. And it's inevitable, particularly in our huts, with the ants, that they are our dear cousins who love to visit us. And, like, even though we might clean up very well and even create moats, water around, buckets that, sometimes I go back, so many ants, and it doesn't matter what you do, you tap and they'll run away, but then still you end up killing many ants.
Yeah.
Just with the cleaning up, and it really upsets me, that inevitably at least once a week, I am on a massacre. It can't be helped with where I live.
A serial killer.
Yeah, it can be quite distressing. And so, I put essential oil around, some effect, and so my latest is that, is poison. It's stronger than essential oil, basically, that I bought from the hardware. And I'll put that in the places where they come in to make a very clear boundary.
Yeah.
My intention is not to kill. My intention is to decrease their company. So I don't have to do weekly massacres.
All right.
So, and I also do nightly dedication that anybody, any sentient being who sees, hears, touches, or is annoyed by my presence, like the ants, they probably get quite sick of me, getting that may that be the cause for their enlightenment, and also the mantras, as Geshe said.
So there are certain things that you can do and try your best.
And I guess, from my heart, you want to know that you are breaking vows, that you're decreasing the negative karma, if you know what I mean.
Can say.
This is close.
The Quran 다시 허다바다 치기 여사. 근데 직 소소샤가 된데 부 드라마 된데 레와이나. 다데 다시 가서 채나야 리그레사. 자마 가서 채네 다마다 된데 리그레사. 제선데 그런 카레스 만나친데 다시 제 아니 나사 아니 딕바샤 네 허다바다 된데 채와나 데마도 심바 채는도사.
Ben Butroma, Butroma, Sama somos redos. Yache yadama tadi manzo chik any kala so di kala ya ko di chik numero te chik thorna. Ta shemba keke men ko tagaran legdo. Tagaran legdo ra.
No.
Tiza sama sanjang searching. Then butromo ko chik doja chagar sami chik kondula ya never sam. Te tam sama sanjang sebaina. Ani butromo ko mudita. The best siguresha. Then book 100 in bainaya. 칼라가 고르다. 간저도 지고르다. 간저 칼라야 보여서 직사하잖아. 챙하게 못했다. 로버티. 저거라. 콘서 칼라여서 들리거다. 디 좀 잔장 써봐내로. 배는 뇌치도 칼라서서 이 통수다. 뇌치 칼라서서디 그 약고 주지. 디 라벤 주사 디 토발이야 지. numero 때서 거는 디데샤도 못좀 다가랑 비기 너무 여서 들려요. 고르고다. 좀 잔장 주바이나. 소수 트데 불라 만네바 야자 야다마 디레시스라 다 디디도 아니 페나 아니 가주 곰보 mambol야 이안네 데고라스 아주 더발야 야네티 지당타 야네데 차게 요마데네 이알 칼야 지 지당 겐딩데 이안네 데비 카브리 상승친 소소 이알 손 데바이나 페마스가 겐진 침부 요르와스 이알티 이알 기 다와숭 그리나야 담 부스 망슈디 이알 다와숭 그리나야 아니 살 코르도 왔어 살에 대응도 왔어 이제 디칼이야 아니 자마무 쇼지 제대바나 론두 마무 쇼지바나 아니 부스 마무 쇼지라야 믹스 느경인 거랬어 이제 이알 대치 다와숭 그리나야 이알케네 칠로가 만로 나모데 아니 베절로 곰야 오두 스테바이나 아니 이야기 거든 찬산 줘봐이나 아니 지당 비기 이야기 초가 엔지레 차게 만잖아 소소래야 이야 송 그거 찬산 지은 것도 왔어 그건 딘디 나토바이나 배야고도 왔어.
Yeah, Geshe said that living here, we live at houses that are full of ants. This is the environment that we live in. So you cook something, and if there's just a small drop of oil that spills out somewhere, immediately it attracts ants. They immediately come around. You can see that it's not that you have to leave it for a few hours. As soon as there's even a small drop of oil that is spilled somewhere, immediately it attracts ants. So you can try your best to maintain cleanliness of cooking and the utensils, the cooking utensils that you use. You do your best. You do your best in leaving everything clean because you know that it's going to attract insects. When Geshe says that when he washes dishes, if he cooks somewhere, if there's just a small drop of oil that is left somewhere, even on the lid or the handle of the lid, sooner rather than later, soon enough, it attracts ants. Now, so it's just like us, you might say that, if we go out for food to a good restaurant, we might drive somewhere, call our friends and so forth. We congregate in those places that have excellent food. In the same way, ants congregate in our kitchens where there's excellent food. So you clean, you do your best, and also in that spirit, Geshe said, in the monastic tradition, every year, there is a period that is called in Tibetan Yavne, the summer retreat. Now, this summer retreat lasts for 3 months, and it is traditionally done at the time of, as the name suggests, during the summer, where there are insects everywhere. So during the summer retreat, monastics traditionally were supposed to stay within the confines of the monasteries, rather than becoming involved with many different activities, going here and there, and thereby endangering more living beings, because it is a time where you have more insects present everywhere. Then monastics used to, during that summer retreat, stay in the confines of the monastery, do more reading, more retreats, more meditation, more study, just within the confines of the monastery. So in order to do this summer retreat, there are certain qualifications, so certain boxes that you need to tick. Here, for example, we don't have all the prerequisites for doing a fully qualified summer retreat, but you can still kind of do your best in adopting a certain routine that is in the spirit of a summer retreat. So you know that, for example, the summertime comes and there are more insects around, and that your movements here and there, driving here and there, walking here and there, are going to endanger more living beings. So you try your best to limit your movements and adopt a certain routine that is in the spirit of this summer retreat. So if you do that, that's good.
That didn't Choto Shijong. That didn't man tension because the Shongo Kabdilian and this court and changes in the Tomba in Minchuk Sem so could give you Yunza, any Teshimugochi. Chansum Gitoma the Demane, Chamba the Ninji Sawa Changi, Chanju Sim Choi, Tambo Mambatan, Chabar the Selling Bateni, Lama Selling Bateni, Judun Chambata, Judun Jambian, and Tommy Shewal Gibi, Damba Chok, La Rindu Jambes, Choji Pandandishi, Darby Changi, Chanju Sim, Tuga Troshin, maybe Sem Tea Tambin, Jubi Sem, and the Chanju Sim, Joba Love Chevala, Hover, Kelamba, Jesu Dre, Lava Lubi, Joba Sambu.
So we had a bit of discussion over the training in ethics, and it was in relation to the qualities of the training in ethical discipline that Atisha has developed. So Geshe also wanted to cover some other points in the training that Atisha took up. There are also points that we ourselves will deal with later on, like, for example, taking the Bodhisattva vow and so forth. So for that reason, Geshe wanted to make sure that we also cover some more points. So I'll put this text again on the screen. So we're going to look at section B, how Atisha possessed the Bodhisattva vows. Actually, it's one vow, the Bodhisattva vow. So the Bodhisattva vow, he practiced numerous instructions for training in bodhicitta, which is rooted in love and compassion, especially following Suvarnavipa. He trained, Suvarnavipa is the is Selimpa, the Lama from the Golden Isle. He trained for long in the highest instructions passed on by the Venerable Maitreya and Majnugoshal through Asanga and Shantideva. Thereby, bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, arose in his heart. This aspiring bodhicitta gave rise to engaged bodhicitta. And due to his excellent behavior, his engagement in the training following the promise to train in the vast conduct of bodhisattvas, he never transgressed the rules of the Buddha's children.
And mishingi 통통 말해서 다들 만족 자와다 안에 속이 아니 접어야 지 로 다들 사진 들리야 아니 지금 완전 용시지 모두 매면서 아직 다직 상기위 진죽스라운디 조조조서디 난주들 로절이야 주어라서 진짜 난주를 접어야 지 매봐이나 아니 미망부 쇼지 다직 아니 난주 진행다 디디로 지레 상승 처로이나 세나 파차페 두자 샤드로 그러스 라 먼저 저거 양부 지어봐이나 저거 야부여봐이나 미스 통나 가기도스 라 가고공이지 간진 먼저 쇼기니 건다 봐도 담보 라운드는 지 설잔담지 대화도 대위기도 내말 규지 세대하기 칸이 되는데 뭐놈디 된다 때문에 용해라 먼저 용아 있음디 아니 다부게미 로 저거 야부 키고 뺏기지 못하셨어 다양한 소수의 저거 대전매면서디 야구 고도 쓸람되는 렘브로즈도 모두 되네 가주토도 제의 스스로 임바이나.
So then, thinking of our activities, we want to behave as much as we can. We want to have good behavior. We want our physical actions and our verbal actions to be done as best as possible. So with the actions of body and speech, those actions are visible to others. Others see what we do with our body and they see what we do with our speech. They do not see our mind is not visible to others. So since what people can see is our physical and verbal behavior. We want to take care of that, particularly here when we consider this particular setup that we find ourselves here at Chenrezig Institute, particularly in the monastic community. Geshe reckons that since we don't live in a natural Buddhist environment, when people see us here as monastics, monks, or nuns, they see us as those that follow the teachings of the Buddha. We are followers of the Buddha. So they recognize us as followers of the Buddha. So it is very important that as much as we can, we behave in a way that is good, that we have a positive behavior that will inspire others. So we wake up in the morning, for example, and we do our morning practices, our morning prayers. We recite the four immeasurables. We wish sentient beings to have happiness in the cause of happiness. We wish them to be free from suffering in the cause of suffering and so forth. So while we have all those wishes, good wishes for other sentient beings, we also want to make sure that our behavior follows suit, that as much as we can, we take care of our activities. Geshe finds sometimes this position of giving those teachings a bit uncomfortable, because it says that when you encourage others to behave positively, to behave well, then you yourself need to abide by the same mode of conduct. Geshe feels that sometimes he feels in that mode of conduct that he's not doing it well. So it's a bit, this position is a bit awkward, telling others that they should behave well. But in general, when we think of the message in those teachings, then we want to do our best. We want to do our best in the trainings that we take up to accomplish, to cultivate a wholesome behavior.
Dene doji TV domba de dembanis, tanga domba sungore. Di tanga jejela. Jina dim jeshi yung to sigras rangi lu har sibi kibirum batang. Dorji lu zobe rimbi tingin zanda tembe. Nenju bi zu chobatan. Kabar tu chensam de mandawa. Tamchu tsujun du song zeto chochi. Domba sumgi tsujungi labanam kelambala. Bawa tsum mambar. Chetar kelambi jesu chandi. Jebin tsamni mandawa songshi. Gyala chungsen denawas. Benita madanga ko. Ani chalangi shawan chenji imbainza. Ani kalkalaya. Ani jebin tsamni desigres. Chadan shu chenbu yodi. Inaya. Ani tematato begilaya. Ani chik. Ani gyoba chabu toni. Ani chiju shadam chevala sobe. Ani odindi. Nangu res. Choji pande adishaturu. Nangu res. Newer rangi chiji choge tabar zetos.
We continue with the reading of the section. So I'm going to put the text on the screen again. It says in point C, how a teacher possessed Vajravehikul vows. The Vajravehikul vow, owing to the fact that he had the concentration of the generation stage in which one's own body is seen as that of a deity, and of the completion stage of the indestructible Vajra mind, he became chief amongst yogis. In particular, he guarded his commitments properly without transgressing the prescribed rules. Now, let's look at the next section, which explains proper guarding of ethics. Not only did he courageously undertake the training in the ethics of the three vows, the one that we have just mentioned, the Pratimoksha vows, the Bodhisattva vow, and the Tantric vow. He also upheld them as he had promised. Now, when it says here that he kept the vows without transgressing the rules associated with them, Geshe finds that this is pretty difficult, particularly when your mind is still under the sway of anger, attachment, and so forth, when it's still under the control of afflictive states of mind, it's hard to keep your vows without transgressing the rules associated with them. But the teacher did that, and it says, and even if he transgressed them ever so slightly, he very quickly purified this by means of a suitable ritual restoring the given vow. So Geshe reckons that, at least he says that with respect to himself, since his mind is not free from anger, attachment, and so forth, you end up transgressing the limits or the borders of the vows that you should keep. So what you do as soon as you recognize that, you generate strong regret in your mind, and you apply yourself to purification practices. And as much as you can, you try to purify the infractions or the transgressions that you have accrued.
Tere, that didn't think in the Labatan Temple in Ilis. Tumuan, Shiniki Sam Lesron Yeshi. Shiniki Sam Lesron Yeshi. Tumuan Bani, Kibirimbala, Kibirumba, Shin Tembi, Nati. Then river to shoot Chiba, low true consumed Zetos.
Looking at the next section in the text. We read through proper guiding of ethics, and then we have Atisha's accomplishment in the training of concentration, beginning with the common. It says his training of concentration has two aspects. As for the common aspect, he had achieved the supple mind of shamatha. And as for the uncommon aspect, he has the extreme ability of the generation stage. Moreover, he did the 3 or 6 years of mode of conduct of yogic knowledge disciplines.
Shin and send the Miva congratulate tell it to network and Shinis Segores.
In this section, Geshe said, the text explains the qualities of Atisha, and those qualities of Atisha can be understood from the scriptures that extensively explain the qualities of Atisha based on his life story. One of the points that is mentioned here is the qualities of concentration, the concentration of calm abiding or shamatha that Atisha developed. So the word for shamatha, for calm abiding in Tibetan is shine. Shi, the first syllable, and ne, the second syllable. So the meaning of shi is calm, to pacify. More specifically, what is pacified are the wandering off of the mind and mental laxity. So having pacified those two obstructions, two hindrances to concentration, mental wandering, mental excitation on one hand, and mental laxity, mental sinking on the other hand, one's develop an ability to abide in that concentration, which is the meaning of the second syllable, ne, right? So shamatha in English is called calm abiding.
Tilda, Tildi, and Sam Lesruant, Sam Lesruant's Laundi, Samdi, lay in Sozulea, Rawan, Leata, Zotir, Sam Lesruant's Laundi, Kawaya, Sam Tanchin. Degu Tagar Detuningi, Lodi, Lesro, Karchijeros, Ra, on Chagoras, that D. Yongyalaya, and she said, she gives Sam the carrier, Chimon the Gobatres. Chimon the Zoo the Timuk Chatore, Gobasing the Zoo Chadanki, Tinang Zoo Chabalaya, Chaksamlea, when the children. Dinza Chadang Raban Goya, Tabiak Shuti. Tsultrim Labadres. Then the Chile Yakuch Gogona, Tsultrim Laban giver song overs, Parum Koran. Dinza G. Shenelea Tonashu Cheding Jimana, Nila, and Tsultrim Labati. Yakuch, and a Montevachi, Dig, and a Sonja Kanyovati, and Chadangi, Nimbut and Danti, Yakuch Tonia, Rotuana, and a Shene Gomiala. Let her Rogoras.
And since we mentioned calm abiding, then we mentioned those two things that are not conducive to calm abiding. We have laxity on one hand and excitation or wandering off of the mind. So laxity, that mental sinking, is involved with ignorance, with confusion. The wandering off of the mind or excitation is involved with with anger or attachment, but particularly with attachment. It is involved or under the banner of attachment. And in order then to arrest them, we need to guard ethical discipline. So then if you have that idea that you want to practice karma abiding, you want to practice shamatha, you want your meditation on shamatha, karma abiding to result well, you need to create a foundation for that, which is the guarding of ethics. If you are interested in karma abiding, then ethics for you becomes crucial. So if ethics for you becomes crucial, then you need also to find the antidotes for anger and attachment in your own mind stream. So you apply antidotes to them. You guard your ethics as much as you can. And if you do that well, then you will be able to practice karma abiding easily.
다 나스나다 균이 송비 아니 레케르 라니 타르 곰비기 아니 지 nenjolo soba ta dimjilya 송도 스테자다디 아니 아주 내가 뭐지 되네다 셰럽들의 지발의 셰럽디 조 셰럽디 셰럽세디 추랍도 남아제바 추랍도 남아제바스 소나마소나 무유 내출이야 아니 제바 제통에 무유 내출 따통인기 로디 셰럽레스 라 레니 부기 제통인기 남주디 셰럽레스.
Let's look at the text again. So we are looking at the teacher's accomplishments of the training of concentration. So Geshe referred to the common point in the achieving this supple mind of shamatha, making the mind serviceable through shamatha. And it also mentions the uncommon aspect in relation to the tantric tradition. It says, and as for the uncommon aspect, the unique aspect, he had the extreme stability of the generation stage. Now, since that deals with Tantra, we're not going to go into that now. So Atisha possessed these qualities of the training in concentration. Next, the text explains how Atisha was accomplished in the training of wisdom. So here we are looking at wisdom that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. It says, his training of wisdom has two aspects. As for the common aspect, he had obtained the concentration of special insight, which is the union of shamatha and special insight. Now, here in the training of ethical discipline, the training in wisdom, as wisdom is that which thoroughly distinguishes phenomena, particularly the type of wisdom that we want to develop is wisdom that understands the reality of phenomena, the way the phenomena exist, the mode of abidance.
Shila Sondre, Sondre, Tandon King nations. That Shila Sondre Silauni, so any piggy, Nicola, Chip, Netuning, some less Roman Teda, and it's laying in number Jedwi, Namjin body, and Yamdu juke to the Cabrochilla, Shila Sondres, Rock, Manzichin, Digoris, or Digilea, that and Sherry Lava, Tandon King in the Sena, Sherry Lava Sena. So did Tabasum and Sherry Labati. The D any same Shinjulo, and the Momba Mari with Zubi, any Chadangi, Lodi, Nimbo Zodi, and the Sheriff Tango Wallace. Right?
The text says, his training of wisdom has two aspects. As for the common aspect, he had obtained the concentration of special insight, which is the union of shamatha and special insight. Now, with the union of shamatha and special insight, karma abiding and special insight, as this term suggests, we have two things that are combined together. Shamatha, in which laxity and excitations have been pacified, and insight, which is that thorough distinguishment, being able to discern phenomena. So those two aspects are brought together. The pacification of laxity and excitation, together with a deeper insight into reality. So this is the type of training that Atisha took up in Training in Wisdom. This is actually the main training that are to be taken up at the end when you train in the 3 trainings. So you use that in order to vanquish erroneous states of mind, to extinguish or to dispel this darkness of confusion in our mind. This is what we use in order to dispel anger, attachment, and so forth. So this section ends up with saying, as for the uncommon aspect, he had obtained the extraordinary concentration of the completion stage. So we've covered some distance in the text today. Geshe will leave the text here for now. We have 15 minutes left for this session before 12 o'clock. So if you guys have questions, you can bring them up now. We have people here at the Gompa, we have people at home. So if you guys have any questions, then we can take them. Now with this new routine at Chinrezig Institute, we finish the teachings, then we go home and cook lunch, each for their own. So let's have some questions and then go home and prepare lunch. So I see that Claire is asking a question here. If there's time for question, may I ask, it is correct to understand that being dishonest is to act in a way this is discordant with our innate human quality of loving kindness. 죄송 그런 참보치에 더 직소인가? 죄송 아주 란신 핵이기 잠박이 연된된 노치 여러와스 죄송 이 란신 핵이기 연된디 단 마타와 채와이나 디니든데 가와드네 차기르베 미툼바 차기르베스
간다사
참보체와 가서 막 참보체와 아니 란신기 연된디 잠박이 연된디 미툼바 차기르베스
디데로와스 로 소즈레 예비 연데 약슈디 네바 약슈디 디 에니 야오로지 가든 데슨 거레스 디 소소레 예비기 네바 약슈디 도그리 땅다 도그리슨 하고라 찜에 땅샤 차고레스 야오로지 까지가 딘디 송세스 에니지 야카 mambu게 소토 땅야기 에니 팀제 딘디 네바 친구지 오니 에니 미소 토 땅야기 에니 팀 딘디 도스 야가 가실라 야오로지 디 사와니 능물레 메스 간선은 미 간르지마이나 미 간르지 독자지마이나로 콜이야 엔지 야기 로야기 니바지겨레스 디 도르다는 디마레스 디지메 땅으로 마레스 디송도스 딘자 난주 이 란신레야 아니 야르로유 니바디 장지 트야기 니바디 아니 소소소기 아니 가르사다 지메다 마손 땅와이나 싸우니는 만들기식 로 탑교 쇼지 차고를 study.
Yeah, Geshe agrees with you, Claire. Being dishonest is not in agreement with our own innate quality of loving kindness. Also, being dishonest means in that sense that we ignore or that we disregard the life of others. And this is something that is totally not right. So, dishonest, for example, says that in some countries, capital punishment is part of the system. In some countries, some countries have capital punishment. And His Honesty Dalai Lama says that he completely disagrees with capital punishment, because capital punishment is completely ignoring the ability of someone to still make amendments, to improve. So when you take someone that has done something that is horrible, that their deeds are horrible, terrible, they still have a potential of developing the mind, improving the mind, even if what they've done is horrible. So capital punishment, His Honor says, is something that completely ignores, disregards that ability to make a positive transformation. And for that reason, he objects. His Honor says that he objects capital punishment.
Yeah.
All right, so we have another question. What are yogic knowledge disciplines from page 4? Dila Turshuk Sajwa. Turshuk Sadi Tunda Karinas.
Turshuk Sadi, Karsota Chitangi, the Tul Sadi, Yigden Delayam, Chitamamudwa, Inayam Pena, Suzuki, Pen Jobat, that Zibuja, Jobadujajara, Dipa Tenga Chechini, and Joba Yabu Cheni, Gunyon Chajara, Dele Tushuk telling with the Chenan Digores.
Well, this term yogic discipline has many meanings, and as it works in Tibetan language, you break a certain word into its individual syllables, and each one of them can be explained separately to combine, to get to the combined meaning of certain terms, like yogic discipline. Well, yogic discipline in Tibetan is tulshuk. Now, the first syllable tul again has a variety of meanings, but you can say in some sense that when you combine it with the second syllable shuk, which is to engage or to abide in, then you engage in a certain mode of conduct in which you strongly put a stop to negative behavior. So we do have different forms of negative actions that we do, right? So you become quite serious and forceful in putting a stop to it. And that is the general meaning of this term, yogic behavior. Now, there was another question here. Someone asked, what's the difference between desire and attachment? Or if they are the same. Dila dochak dila dovatan chapa niyorwa. Dovatan chapa dini la kevayonas.
Chidan debas laundi, Ngunde Rojaras. Ngunde Debadi, Ngunde Nanzugi. Tawa Toban Deguare, con Debareti. Debares. Inaya, Kabdim, the Chakin, the Sudi, Pigi Karsotach. Kungu Netu the Muntibi, Seligage Toya, and same Chabrajaras. Tell them the Chassi was res.
In a Dubatan chap,
Chitang Debala, Karina Yonchodos. In a Dechaka. Debadi,
all right, so with respect to the word attachment that is used in Tibetan language, there are a few words that we use. Sometimes they're interchangeable, but sometimes they're combined together. So the first word is doba, which means to wish for something, to want something. The second word is chakpa, which is what we normally called attachment. And sometimes these two, wanting and attachment, are combined together into a word in Tibetan that is dochak, which is often translated as just attachment. But sometimes in order to give these two syllables a meaning, we call it desirous attachment. Although I think that probably if you say attachment or desirous attachment in English, there's no difference between them, you know. It sounds pretty much the same. There are also the things that we will have the wish to attain the state of liberation. We want to be liberated. But when you have an exaggeration of the good qualities of a particular thing, so you superimpose some good qualities that are not there, your wish what you want is coming out of proportion. And this is the meaning of attachment. So you wish for something, but you have to get together with that sense of exaggeration, and thereby it becomes attachment.
That's all.
All right. So we will click this here. I'll put the address on the screen. And after that, I think that Venerable Chuki has an announcement to make. I also have an announcement to make, so please stay tuned. Oh, just a second. I'm trying to sort out my, where is it? Just a second. All right, let's do some dedication.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right, so Geshe is leaving, and in the meantime, I'll
Thank you.
announcement. So we will continue with the general program next week. So we have still the Thursday evening teaching, Friday morning teaching, but on top of that, we also start with our advanced study program with Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life next week. So the teaching will be conducted from Tuesday to Thursday every week. So we'll start every day with morning meditation. Then Geshe will teach from 9:30 to 12. Then we'll have a discussion session. Then we'll have a tutorial afternoon with me.
9:32.
Sorry?
9:30 to 12.
9:30 to 12.
Yeah.
10:30. Did I say 9:30? Yeah, Geshe is from, yeah, sorry. So Geshe is from 10:30 to 12. So the teachings are offered freely for everyone, but so all of you are welcome to join. But if you want to get all the course related material, including the text, transcripts, review questions, and so forth, you have to, and also an access to the Dropbox for other material charts and so forth, you have to register through the through Kathy, the Advanced Study Program, bsp@hmresic.com.au. And if you don't register, you don't get the course material. So please do so, and no last minute registration, please. Please do it sometime. Then this weekend, we have also a DB course with Venerable Chuki, the Mighty Chuki. So she will teach on bodhicitta on Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 12. So please come along. It will also happen next week. So we have, sorry, next month. So we'll have 2 weekend courses. So it's going to be the following weekend. All right, twice is better. So we have 2 consecutive weekends teachings on bodhicitta with Chuki. So please come along. And Chuki, you have also other announcements, so please come. No.
And Australia download NASA depend on Rodas. This Danganzugi and the Lamrim Jichi any Jangiore, any Choju Janere, is Danganzu Tunachin and Nimashi, Tisutan with Sambala, any Danganzu Negap the Tomachoya di and Charles Southern Degretas in Yangam Shuchi Negap.
All right. So before I hand it over to Venerable Chuki, Geshe also said that we've been, for over a month, we've been doing daily recitations of praises to Tara. Due to COVID-19, we've been doing daily prayers, but it seems that now the situation is improving. So less people are sick. Our situation seems to be improving, and now we're doing more teachings here. So we're continuing with the Lamrim teachings, other teachings. Geshe will teach Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. So for the time being, once we start with Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, Geshe will not join the Tara praises. So Geshe doesn't know what the plans are of the nuns. If you Venables will still like to continue doing the prayers in other days where we don't have teachings, of course you're welcome to do that. But since we now engage more with the busy study program, some of us are going to take a break from those daily recitations that we've done for the sake of others.
But we do this weekend.
Yeah, and please, Geshe is asking you all to study the Lamrim and also Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva of Life to your best ability.
Saturday, Sunday we do Tara.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
It's just on the, yeah, so we will still have some Tara praises this weekend, so Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, but starting from next week, since we are going into the advanced study program, we might not have them for the weekends after, but stay tuned. We might do them, we might not do them. Let's see how it's going to work out. So follow our emails, our Facebook page. Hopefully everything will become clear soon.
I just want to mention, because it's Anzac Day tomorrow, we're going to be gathering here on the Nalanda Masters lawn to light candles for peace and to the end of all wars in all worlds, all times, especially as we're hearing the teachings from Lama Zopa Rinpoche that after worldwide disease and worldwide famine and then worldwide war. So having silent reflection and, you know, of course, honoring those who've actually died not only in those wars, but of course, no COVID-19 war, but also may it always, you know, peace arise in the minds of all beings. So that's what we'll be doing here. Just letting you know, so in case you're inspired to do that at home.
So what time?
5:45 for the 6 a.m. dawn.
Okay. Is it going to be broadcasted? Do you know?
Yeah, Malgo is going to record and
All right.
go on YouTube.
All right. So we're going to have Anzac Day dawn service for us in self-isolation. So 5:45, right?
Yeah, 5:45.
Oh my God, 5:45. And it might be go on Facebook Live. So you can do your own service with a mobile in your hand and watch us on Facebook. Anyway, let's see how it works. Thank you very much, everyone, and peace and love. Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Okay, so.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you want it. All right, cool. I'll just finish this recording and then go for a wee and do stuff. Kathy, I'm finishing the session. Is it all right?
Yes, it's fine. So I've stopped my recording. So where do I find what I've recorded?
So Kathy, if you want to end your recording, then you have...
Can you not hear me?
Oh, sorry. Can you say it again, Kathy?
Can you hear me?
Oops, I can't hear you.
Can you
Why
hear me?
can't I hear you? Maybe because of the mic, I don't know.
I've stopped my recording. Where do I
I
find
hear you,
it
Kathy,
now?
although
I'll type it in a message.
why can't I hear you?
Oh.
Maybe I'll unplug the mic. Is that the mic? I think, yeah. Okay, so apparently because of the mic, I can, yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, so I've stopped the, hi Molly, how are you? Dayton. So I've stopped the recording. So where do I find that on my computer now?
So I think that Zoom has created a folder in your document folder. The folder is surprisingly called Zoom.
Okay.
I think that the
Have a look. Documents. Zoom.
Hey, Ross.
Ross Bennett. Hey,
Yep.
Ross.
And I've got one today at 10:52. I hope this worked. That's really small. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, it's big, isn't it?
Can you see it?
Yeah, I think so. Double click. There is no who. I've got a Zoom folder. I've got one that says today at 12:05, which is when I would have stopped it. Then it has double click. I can't
It
hear
might take
you.
some while. Hello. So,
Some people, one person, like because I asked in the chat, and the majority say it's very good. One person heard something wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of people from you, right? Why? Because it was only one mic. One person maybe undergo settings.
all right. Well, I'm going to listen to the audience. See.
Yeah, so you could check it.
Yeah.
But what should you prefer, one camera or camera? Because we still need to buy some camera, and also we could buy still some new mics, you know, because some like this. So it's more question to you. How you feel more comfortable? Like
I think it's good to get a better camera in general.
yeah,
It was much easier today because I didn't have to touch my computer all the time, so it was better.
it's much easier.
Yeah, it's much easier. I think that in terms of getting clear picture image of Geshe and myself, it'd be good to have a better camera. We can probably also change maybe I'll sit closer to Geshe because I think that now if you look at the screen, Geshe is here and I here, kind of in the middle, there's nothing, so it looks a bit strange. So maybe for next time we'll sit closer if we're using one camera.
Yeah, but that's how we need distance.
Because of, you mean because of the virus? Well, let's think about it.
Yeah. So also because we could, we could still buy microphones and also microphones.
But if we're using one camera, then
Yeah, still if we using one camera, I would say so because I think so. We could buy that because some people hear some. I also hear some people from I don't know why, but so we could buy the mic, which there is the mic, which there are two mics.
Yeah.
One here, I guess I could put another, and they have one cable, and they could go to your laptop.
Okay.
So it would be like one mic, which.
And they don't feed off each other?
Yeah, like I would make a photo of our settings and I will send it to the shop and ask them.
Yeah.
This is the idea of those mics,
Yeah.
to people conversation and
Yeah.
So we could buy this mic with just $100. It's not too much, and have these settings, or we could buy another this mic to pin and try if this mic will hear all the guys and then automatically will jump. But also still it's much more work when you have to set up two laptops, right? Yeah,
I think that probably we will listen to the sound files and see if it's like if the complaints are real. If we'll check the audio quality and see if it's okay. Maybe the audio quality is okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, because it's quite a good mic. For example, the para practice was really good.